Okay, this is test 8, section 9. This will probably be the last video that I do for this SAT class. So here we go. For which of the following values of m will be the value of 3m minus 1? Will the value of 3m minus 1 be greater than 10? Well, you can just put numbers in. If you put 2 in, you're going to get 6 minus 1 is not greater. If you put 3 in, 9 minus 1 is not greater. If you put 4 in, it's the only one that's going to work, so I would just go with that. You can set it, you can make an inequality and solve it, so 3m minus 1 has to be greater than 10. So 3m has to be greater than 11. And so m has to be greater than 3 point something, if I did that right. So it has to be this one. Okay, if a times k equals a for all values of a, what would be the value of k? Well, the only one that's going to work here is anything times, if you take 1 times itself, you're going to get itself. So the only answer here that works is 1. So that's about all for that. In the figure above, line L is parallel to M if it's not drawn to scale. If x equals 80 and y equals 70, what is the value of z? Well, we know that parallel lines cut by a transversal have their corresponding angles are going to be congruent. So this is going to be congruent to this. So this is going to be 80 and this is going to be 70. You subtract these from 150. 150 minus 180 minus 150 is going to be 30. And so our answer is 30. Next one. This is not nearly as bad as that last section. The scenic route from Mia's house to her office is 5 kilometers longer than the direct route. So if x is the direct route, x plus 5 is going to be the scenic. The round trip is 35, so x plus 5 is going to equal 35. So you get 2x equals 30. The direct route is going to be 15. Make sure you answer the right question. If they would have said scenic, you would have to make sure you added 5 onto it. A complete cycle of a traffic light takes 80 seconds. During each cycle, the green light is green 40 seconds, amber instead of yellow is 10 seconds, and red 30 seconds. At a randomly chosen time, what is the probability the light will not be red? Well, it's going to be red 30 out of 80 seconds. So we have to add these two together. So 50 out of 80 seconds, 50 out of 80 seconds, it's not going to be red because the remaining 30 would be red. So it's going to be 5/8. The probability ones on the SAT are super easy. So you just put the possible choices out of the total choices for probability. For a certain hot water heater, the increase in heating expenses is directly proportional to the increase of water temperature setting. If heating expenses increase $24, so we're going to put the dollars on the top and we'll put the degrees on the bottom. This is just going to be a proportion because it's directly proportional. So $24 when it's 20 degrees. How much will the heating expenses increase when the temperature is increased 15? So it's going to go to 15. How much will it go up? You just cross multiply, and you're going to get 300, and that shouldn't be a decimal point there. You're going to get 360 equals 20W, 20x, and x equals 18. So it's going to be $18. That's just a direct proportion, just set up a proportion like that. All right. Let's go on. New page. In the triangles above, what is the average of y, v, w, x, and y? So it's everything except this angle right here. So if you add two triangles together, there's 180 degrees in this one plus 180 degrees in this one, so you're going to have 360 degrees. You're going to subtract off the 90 because this is the only one that won't be in the, it's not one of the letters. And so you're going to get your, when you subtract these, you're going to get 270. That's not what they're asking for. What is the mean of them? So you're going to divide that by 5. And you get your answer is 54 when you divide that, because you're doing the average. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. All right, next. If x squared, x cubed lie in a line in the order shown above, which of the following could not be the value of x? Well, you're going to start by picking these values down here and put in x. What you're going to find is when you square a negative number, it's going to get bigger than if it was a negative number. So negative numbers can't work here. So we can cross these out right away. 1 and 1 squared are going to be the same, so that one can't last. 3/4, if you square a number less than 1, in between 0 and 1, it's always going to get smaller. So we know that this one can work because it's going to get smaller. A number, if you square a number bigger than 1, it's going to get bigger, so you can't go backwards. So this one's not going to work. So remember that when you square a number less than 1, it's going to get smaller. All right. Number 9, last one on this page. In the figure above, line L passes through the origin. What's the value of KH? KH is K over H. Okay, you can see K over H would be your Y over your X, right? So that's going to be your rise over your run. But we'll take this one thing at a time. Passes through the origin. So if we figure out the slope of this line, the slope is rise over run. Whoops, passed up my run there. So it's going to be rise over run. So your slope of the entire line is going to be 3. So it's rise over run. And since it's starting at the origin, the rise is just going to be 3, and the run is going to be the x-coordinate of 1. So the slope has to be the same going down this way too. So you're going to go down 3 and to the left 1. So it's going to be minus 3, minus 1. So this point, the x-coordinate is going to be -1, and the y-coordinate is going to, the k is going to be -3. So what's k over h? It's just going to be 3. 3 over 1. This one's drawn, doesn't look like it's drawn to scale, does it? Well, it's the ratio. The ratio would be, that's what we're looking at, the ratio, k over h. So it's 3 over 1. Okay, not sure I did a good job explaining that one. All right, next one. In the equation above, m has to be less than 0 and k has to be less than 0 as well. What is the value of m minus k? You have to kind of know how to solve inequalities here. I mean, you can kind of pick numbers for m and k, but it's easier if you just know how to solve them. So to solve inequalities, what you do is you take what's inside of the absolute value bars. It has to be equal to 5. And what's inside the absolute value bar has to be equal to -5. Because if we had x equals 3, you're always going to get 2 answers for absolute values. If you have -3, it's going to equal 3. And if you put in a +3, it's going to be equal to 3. So there's always going to be 2 values for your inequalities. So don't forget that, or you're going to get some of these wrong. So what's inside of here has to be equal to either 3, or what's inside of here has to, or 5, and also -5. So when we solve these, the first one we get m equals 8, but it says m has to be less than 0, so goodbye to that one. And here m equals -2. Do the same thing with the next one. What's inside of here has to equal either +15, or what's inside of here has to equal -15. And so we get k equals 8, and that's not going to work. And then we get k equals -22, and that does work. So we need to just add, what do they want us to do? They want us to subtract our 2 numbers. So we're going to get -2, let's put a line around that, Negative 2 minus a negative 22. And so we're going to get an answer of 20. Negative and a negative is a positive, so it's 20. All right, starting to get into the more difficult problems here. According to the table above, car engine oil with a rating of 5W flows how many times as fast as an engine with a rating of 20W? So each time it increases by 5, it's going to go half as fast. So I'm just going to pick a number. My original number I picked was 100. I said, okay, so W is going to equal 100. Now if I multiply it times 10, it's going to go half as fast, so it's going to go down to 50. If I make it 15W, it's going to go half as fast as this, so it's going to go down to 25. And then if I go to 20, it's going to be half as fast, so it's going to be 12.5. I did that and I was like, okay, I mean I can kind of figure it out. 5 to 20, how many times? So I took 100, I divided by 12.5, and I got 8, which is fine, but it's easier if I would have picked better numbers. Like if I would have used 80, half as fast as 80 is 40, half as fast as 10 would be 20, and then half that would be 10, and you can see easily it's 8 times the difference. So the answer is 8. Picking your numbers, the smarter you pick them, the easier it is. Okay. Oh, there we go. And the figure above, points PB and A are equally spaced on line L. So that and that. This distance right here, PB is 4. So these guys each have to be 2. P, same thing down here. This is going to be 6. So these are each going to be, they're equally spaced. They're going to be 3. AQ is 4. We have to find the perimeter of this rectangle, so we need to know all 4 sides, so we need to know BR. If you compare this triangle right here, this little triangle, with, I'm going to venture into colors here, let's just do blue instead of my typical bad orange. Okay, so here we go. In this triangle, if we compare these two triangles, we can see that they're similar triangles because 2 is to 4 as 3 is to 6. So to get from 2 to 4, we multiplied it by 2. That's the whole side of the big triangle to the little side, the side of the little triangle, the corresponding side. The scale ratios, if I take this times 2, I'm going to get 4. And if I take 3 times 2, I'm going to get 6. So if I take 4 times 2, I'm going to get 8, because they're similar triangles because the sides are proportional. And I could see that because I went from 2 to 4 and 3 to 6, and the scale factor was the same on both of them. So then we just have to add up the sides. Don't forget to finish the question. They don't have 8 there. They're not throwing you too much on that one. So you just add the sides, 8 plus 2, or 2 plus 4 plus 3. That's all the sides of the rectangle, and we're going to get 17. All right, next page. And this happens to be the last page because there's 4 problems on it. Okay, a really simple function problem. So they're saying g of 5, so that means you're going to replace, instead of n, you're going to put a 5 in where the n's are. So we're going to get 5 squared plus 5. And so that's going to be 25 plus 5 is going to be 30. That's g of 5. And we're going to subtract from that h of 4. So now we're going to take this into the h function. We're going to put it there, and we're going to put it here. So we're going to get 4 squared minus 4 is 16 minus 4 is 12. And we just subtract those two, and we get 18. So that was definitely the easier one of these 2 problems. I'm going to recopy these functions down here because I need to scroll down and we're not going to be able to see them. H of n equals n squared minus n. All right, this one's a little bit more challenging. So let's see if I can scroll up somehow or other. There we go. Which of the following is equal to h of m plus 1? you can do it two different ways. I'm going to go to the h function. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to replace the n's with m plus 1. So here we go, m plus 1. We'll do it algebraically, then we'll pick numbers. Minus m plus 1. FOIL this, so we get m squared plus 2m plus 1. Distribute. If you don't put these parentheses here, you're going to get the wrong answer. You're subtracting the whole thing. So it's minus m minus 1. So we get m squared minus m. These ones cross out. And then they said, which one is this? It's really complicated looking. Now, if we go to the g function, can you see how if we put an m in for the n's, how it would be m squared plus m? So it's, or m squared, okay, what did I do wrong here? M squared plus m. This should have been plus m right here. Okay, so it's going to be this, so the answer is just going to be, it is the same as g of m. The other way you can do it is you can pick a number. You can say let m equal 2. All right, so that means m plus 1 is going to be 3. Whoops. So I can put 3 in for the h function. So I'm going to find h of 3, and I'm going to get 3 squared minus 3 would be 6. Now I said m is 2, so if I go up here into this function and I put a 2 in, I get 2 squared is 4 plus 2 also equals 6. I don't know. I think the first way was actually easier. Okay, next problems. Oh, I don't like these with a lot of words. A store charges $28 for a certain type of sweater. This price is 40% more than the amount it costs the store to buy one of the sweaters. At the end of the season sale, store employees can purchase any remaining sweaters at 30% off the store's cost. How much would it cost an employee to purchase a sweater of this sale, a type of the sale? Okay, so the store charges $28. Now, obviously, they don't pay that much for it, so they pay a certain price for that sweater. And then they mark the sweater up 40% of whatever they bought it for. So they get the sweater, they mark it up, they take the price of the sweater, then they add 40% of the price of the sweater and equals $28. Some of you will just jump to this thing. It's 140% is what you're paying for the sweater. So if you solve it, you're going to get x equals 20. Now, that's what they purchased the sweater for. And then they added 40% to it and got 28. At the end of the season, the employees can get 30% off of that, or they're paying 70%. So you can either take it times 0.30, like that. So you would get, this isn't how I did it, you would get $6 off. So you would get $6 off, so it would be $14. Or you're going to be paying 70%. If you're getting $30 off, 30% off, you're paying 70%. So it would be $14. Same answer. Okay, the last and the hardest of the test is here. Okay, you have a rectangle. So here we go. I can't draw these rectangles because they are in white. So let me stop that. Get my pencil back. Okay. I just can't draw very nice rectangles. Okay, rectangle. We have our points on a rectangle. We have A. You can put them in any order. C. They should be in clockwise order, but they don't have to start any point. Okay, point E is the midpoint of BC. I did this on purpose because I wanted it to have the longer line on top. So E is the midpoint of BC, and we're trying to find the area of quadrilateral ABED. So here we go. I'm just going to draw this line, and we want to find the area of this. We want to find the area of this rectangle, this quadrilateral. All right, now here's the tricky part. This is 2/3 of the total area. Here's where you have to think outside the line. I'm going to draw another line this way, And look what happened. I divided this into 3. If this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint. These sides are going to be the same, right? I'm going to drop if it's a rectangle, then I know that this is the same as this, and this is the same as this. So I have 4 equal triangles. This area right here is 2/3 of the whole thing. So I'm going to figure out how much each triangle is. So I'm going to take 2/3 and I'm going to divide it by 3. And I'm going to find out the area of each of these triangles. So it's going to be 2/3 times 1/3 when I flip it. So I'm going to get 2/9. So that's telling me that each one of these triangles is 2/9. You really had to think outside the box on this one. So the area of the entire rectangle, since there's 4 equal triangles, congruent triangles, so you say 2/9 times 4 is 8/9, and that is going to be your answer. All right, that's it for section 9.